Hi everybody, it's Sister of Jeans and I'm here to bring you another anime review. Now the anime that I'm going to do just finished airing today with a total of 25 episodes, and before I say anything I must say that this is the anime of the year. This is a must-watch series. And if you haven't watched it yet or don't know what I'm talking about, if you didn't read the title, is Fate Zero. Now even though I say this is a must-watch anime, at least watch my review before you finally decide.
Fate Zero is a 25-episode action-packed series that is the prequel to the anime series Fate Stay Night, which came out in 2006. The main plot of Fate Zero is a religious battle between 7 chosen mages around the world in order to obtain the Holy Grail 10 years prior to Fate Stay Night. And for whoever doesn't know what the Holy Grail is, it's the most secret artifact that can grant any wish that one desires after it's achieved. The mages chosen for this war have the ability to summon a heroic spirit to aid them in license of familiar to win the Grail. The classes of these heroic spirits include the Archer, Lancer, Rider, Berserker, Saber, Assassin, and Caster classes. The spirits chosen are all legends in their past lifetime and can be notorious for noble deeds or dishonorable acts. Each of the heroic spirits in their own separate classes have different skill sets, weapons equipped, ideals of conjuring magic, and their own special moves that take a great source of power, which is known as their noble phantasm. Along with that, each heroic spirit has their own motivation for achieving the Grail and making their own wish if they are to win with their master. In this battle royale to obtain the Grail, we're given a suspenseful, captivating, and slightly humorous story that's dressed with an intense and descriptive dialogue when it comes to their strategic sense and emotional pains in the Holy Grail War. Along with the renowned plot, you also get a vivid idea of who each character is in Fate Zero, which is another aspect that was nicely done. You get a great overview from most of the mages like Kuritsugu, Kirei, Tokiomi, and Karya, where you come to learn about not only their blood ties, but also their internal motivation to achieve the Grail and how they feel about each other in the feudly process. Also, if I haven't said enough already, the heroic spirits also stand out in the anime because all of them, even if they weren't meant for much in the anime, are at least given backstory of who they were in their past life, especially when it comes to Saber and her noble needs to win the Grail fairly, along with her weak relationship with her master Kuritsugu and their struggles with the fact that they don't get along with each other's ideals. I don't really want to say any more to keep from spoiling, but each character in Fate Zero each have their own place to keep the pacing of the story going, get the blood boiling, and get the gasp on cue, because you really get attached to all the characters, so when something happens, genuine emotions arise, which leaves a very positive impression for me. The animation for Fate Zero was done by Studio Ufotable, who don't really have many works under their belt that are well known, besides the anime films Kara no Kyokai. But I feel like Fate Zero is the anime to make this production company truly shine. The art style and animation in Fate Zero is so beautiful and crystal clear that every moment truly illuminates. This series, no matter how complex something might be on the screen, is just beautiful to look at. Also, the fight scenes are so fluid and unique because there's unused angles and different time framings used in some of the battles, which really intensifies the fights and gives it an epic Matrix feel. Another thing that Ufotable incorporated into Fate Zero was CG quite frequently, and it was so smooth and didn't feel out of place or awkward like most CG in animes, which is a really big plus for me. Which brings me to another aspect of Fate Zero that was done extremely well, which would be the music. I personally love the first opening and ending songs to this series, and there's a good variety of music in Fate Zero, when it goes from upbeat tempos for the fight scenes, or it gives the anime the medieval or mystical sound it deserves when the heroic spirits are on the screen, and it changes the mood a bit for it. Also, very touching melodies are played during the emotional turmoils in Fate Zero, and really made my watching of Fate Zero so much better, and was a complimentary job well done.
Okay. 3 things I want to talk about with my final thoughts. First off, everything in this anime was executed beautifully. It was thoroughly thought out, and it was just absolutely perfect to the point where I have to say that for the first time, I'm giving this anime a 10 out of 10. And I'm not over-exaggerating because I am really nitpicky, so if you haven't thought about watching Fate Zero, you need to watch it. And one thing I have to say is probably my favorite out of Fate Zero were the 2 arch nemesis people, I would say, the 2 mages, Kiritsugu and Kotiome. Because Kiritsugu, at first, I thought was a total douchebag because Saber didn't like him, and since I love Saber, I'm like, oh, well, he's a douchebag. Okay, well, going through the story, you get to see why he is how he is, and he starts changing, and I feel like the progression of Kiritsugu is absolutely perfect. And besides that, Kotiyome was seriously a really scary person, and I would never want to run into somebody like that in real life, because he was clearly insane. That's all I have to say. And two dynamic characters like that alone facing each other, I feel like really sparked Fate Zero that much more. And the final thing I want to say is, I don't know how people feel about the last episode, and I have the feeling that people are going to say that it feels a little anticlimactic, but I don't feel that way at all, because it follows through perfectly to where Fate Stay Night starts off. So I feel like the ending that they did was just done right, and I still loved it just as much. Which leads me to my last thing, Fate Stay Night. If you guys haven't watched Fate Stay Night, even though it was done back in 2006, the dubbing isn't that great and the animation is a little aged, or actually I would say it's good for its time. I would say that you should watch it, but there is one slight difference between Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night. Besides Fate Zero being absolutely epic and awesome, Fate Stay Night has just as much action, but Fate Stay Night has more of a romantic sense to it. So I just want you to know about that if you consider watching Fate Stay Night, because it's not as serious as Fate Zero was and kind of leaves a bit humorous and romantic. So that's all I really have to say, and if you guys didn't get it through your head, watch Fate Zero. Please, it is absolutely amazing. I even tried to dress like Saber, but I failed. Well, I don't know. Did I fail? I don't know. You guys can tell me. But anyway, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought of my review. Tell me what you thought about Fate Zero. I love Fate Zero to death. So leave a comment or suggestion down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you like about Fate Zero. Tell me if you don't like Fate Zero. Tell me if you have different thoughts or opinions. Anyway, until next time.